But independence, you don't have that yet. Independence, you don't have that yet.
And Jamaica is more important than party politics. In America, partisan politics is literally destroying the country. So even though we disagree, that disagreement should never allow us to take the life of another human being simply because they are a member of a different.
Hello family, welcome back to Sashyn Reaction. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. On this channel, we react to powerful speeches, trending stories, and important conversations from around the world with respect, curiosity, and an open mind. Today we are looking at a message from Louis Farrakhan that has sparked intense discussion among Jamaicans, both at home and across their diaspora. His message wasn't about entertainment. It wasn't about celebrity gossip. It was about the future of Jamaica, its unity, leadership, economy, and national direction. Whether you agree with everything he says or completely disagree, one thing is certain. His words have people talking. Full credit to the original creators. Let's get into it, and afterwards we'll break everything together.
The pill that Jamaica has to swallow because of the debt of $216 billion and the slowdown in the economy. So let us hope and let us pray that we will be able to ease the pain through good politics, but at the same time, if we don't move quickly, the masses will rise in Jamaica, just like they're doing all over the world. And what I would hate to see is that a well-armed army and police force will shoot down those in the street who want to see genuine change that
But independence, you don't have that yet. Independence, you don't have that yet.
He was a handsome Jamaican. And he had light skin and what they call good hair. Lord help us. Hair has now a moral quality attached to it. But she told me that my grandfather, his father, was Portuguese. So I said, Portuguese? Then as I matured, I saw that in the Inquisitions in Spain and Portugal, many members of the Jewish people who had mastered in Europe the sugarcane industry in Spain, they had become great, we call it entrepreneurs, financiers. But in order for them to continue to live, they either had to say, I'm a Christian to survive, or flee. And many fled Spain and Portugal and came to what is called the West Indies and South America, namely Brazil. Now, if you study the slave trade, I don't want to labor on that so much, but in the Babylonian Talmud, did you know it was a rabbi that said that black people are cursed, black, doomed to be hewers of wood and drawers of water, because we are the children of Ham, that son of Noah that disrespected him? when you look at how black people are treated, no matter where we go in the world, that poison that we are somehow an inferior people, doomed to be hewers of wood and drawers of water of Caucasian people. And they teach this to their children. So when you meet them, you meet somebody who approaches you with a superior attitude.
Teach, brother.
And unfortunately, we have responded by bowing and acting in a servitude-like manner. But you know, as I studied the migration of the Portuguese, the Spanish, the Dutch, the French to the Caribbean, it was slavery that enriched Europe. And no matter what branch of Europe colonized or enslaved us, the British took away our African names and gave us English names, right? And most of us carry those names today. True?
Yes, sir.
None of us spoke or speak today the language of our country and culture. We speak English because the English captured us and gave us not only their language, but their religion.
Yes, sir.
And they bred into us the hatred that they have for other members of the family of Europe that they were always fighting against. So the British and the French never got along too well. The British and the Spaniards never got along too well. And so here we are, we the British representatives. Is a Christian because the French made him that. You see?
Yes, sir.
So now the Spanish, oh, let's go to Puerto Rico or to Cuba.
Yes, yes.
When Spain conquered, they did the same thing to the African. Take away your name, take away your language, take away your culture, give you their language, give you their religion, and impose upon you their mind.
Yes, sir.
So here we are in the Caribbean. We are so divided, not just between British, English-speaking West Indians, French-speaking, Dutch-speaking, Spanish-speaking, French-speaking. No, no, no. We are worse than that. When I was a little boy, I heard a calypso song that was written by a Trinidadian, a Calypsonian, long time ago. Small island, go back where you come from. Small island, go back where you come from. You come by the 1 and the 2 and the 3. Now I find you up inside me breadfruit tree. Small island, go back where you come from. Now look, he was talking about the Bajanians. What am I saying, my dear family? We were not only divided by the languages and cultures of Europe, we began to be divided even by our islands. So Jamaica and Barbados and Trinidad and St. Lucia and Anguilla, all of the islands, they had some beef against somebody from another island. And in America, when West Indian people started coming, they couldn't hang out with their own islanders. They had to go to a church, and for the first time, people from all the islands learned each other, learned to live together, learn to work together, learn to plan together for the advancement of those from the West Indies. And it was in that environment that the languages of the Caribbean, the dialects of the Caribbean nurtured my life. So now when you look at the introduction of slavery in the West Indies, you find that the Europeans and also members of the Jewish people bought up all the land. So the land where we worked in the cane fields was owned by somebody else. So we were always the plantation workers, but rich white people were the plantation owners. And so they made the wealth from us, but we just barely survived. So now, the Caribbean gave to the world sugar, bananas, pineapple, rice, and coffee. And in Brazil, there was sugar, tobacco, cocoa, and cotton. And the whites were the masters of the production and marketing of all those things. And of course, the British, the French, the Dutch, the Portuguese, the Spanish, all controlled these territories at various times. But no matter which European nation controlled the land and the sea, it mainly was the Jewish merchants who controlled the profitable trade in the produce of the Caribbean and America. And so here we are today. This is too.
They tried in 1976 to organize a military coup to overthrow Michael Manley. In 1976, they supported attempts to assassinate Michael Manley on 3 different occasions. The little man who led Jamaica, who spoke at Savior's Day, was such a threat to our government that they attempted 3 times to assassinate the man in 1976. So later, they found a way to get rid of him through riots in the street over food when they cut off assistance to Jamaica.
It's beautiful. You got one of the most beautiful anthems in the world. And you got a seat in the United Nations. Big up for you.
Welcome back. What a powerful speech. Whenever someone speaks passionately about Jamaica, people pay attention. Jamaica may be a relatively small island, but its influence on the world is extraordinary. From reggae music to sprinting, to culture, to faith, to resilience, Jamaica has earned global respect. That's exactly why conversations about its future often become emotional. Louis Farrakhan's message wasn't aimed at criticizing Jamaicans as people. Instead, he challenged the nation to think deeply about where it's heading. And that's where the conversation becomes interesting. One of the biggest themes in his speech was division. According to him, no nation can reach its full potential if its people remain divided. Now let's pause there. There isn't a problem unique to Jamaica. Almost every country in the world struggles with division in one form or another. Politics, religion, class, communities. These differences exist everywhere. But Farrakhan argues that when these divisions become stronger than love for the nation itself, progress slows down. It's a difficult point to ignore. He also talked extensively about political loyalty. His argument wasn't necessarily that politics itself is bad. Democracy depends on different ideas competing. But he questioned what happens when political parties become more important than the country. That's an interesting question. Should citizens defend a political party no matter what? Or should they hold every leader accountable regardless of party? Many Jamaicans have debated this issue for decades. Some believe party politics has created unnecessary hostility between citizens. Others argue strong political competition keeps government accountable. Both perspectives deserve consideration. Another part of his message focused on putting Jamaica first. That phrase sounds simple, but what does it actually mean? Does it mean supporting local businesses, buying Jamaican made products, helping communities instead of waiting for government, encouraging young people, protecting agriculture, supporting education? These are questions worth asking. Because national development isn't only the responsibility of politicians, citizens play an enormous role too. Perhaps one of the strongest parts of his speech centered on economics. He argued that true independence isn't just about having a flag. It's about controlling your own economic future. That idea has been discussed by leaders across Africa, the Caribbean, Asia, and Latin America for generations. How many countries ask themselves, how can we produce more? How can we reduce dependence on imports? How can we create jobs locally? How can young people build wealth without leaving home? These aren't easy questions, but they're important ones. One thing that stood out to me while listening was how much potential Jamaica already has. Think about it: tourism, music, sports, agriculture, creative industries, technology, the diaspora, the list goes on. Imagine what could happen if every one of those sectors continued growing together. Jamaica already punches far above its weight internationally. That's why many people believe the country has even greater potential ahead. Farrakhan also emphasized future generations. Young people are the future of every nation. The opportunities available today will shape Jamaica tomorrow. Education, entrepreneurship, innovation, skills. These investments matter. Young Jamaicans have incredible talent. We've seen it in music, in athletics, in business, in academics. The challenge is creating an environment where talent can continue to flourish. Another major point involved leadership. Good leadership matters, but strong citizens matter too. Even the best leaders can't solve every problem alone. Communities, families, businesses, churches, schools, everyone contributes to a nation's success. It's a shared responsibility. One thing I admire about Jamaicans is their pride. Whenever Jamaicans go in every world, they carry their culture proudly. You hear the accent, you hear the music, you see the flag. That pride is something many countries admire. The question becomes, how can that same pride continue building the nation itself? Here's something important. Unity doesn't mean everyone agrees. Healthy debate is normal. Different opinions are healthy. Different political views are healthy. Different solutions are healthy. Unity simply means remembering that despite disagreements, everyone ultimately wants Jamaica to succeed. That's an important distinction. Sometimes discussions like this become overwhelming. People think only government creates change, but that's not entirely true. Supporting local businesses, mentoring young people, keeping communities clean, voting responsibly, respecting each other, building families, starting businesses, all of these contribute to national development. Big changes often begin with small action. So, why has this message spread so widely? I think it's because many of the issues raised aren't new. Questions about unity, economic opportunity, leadership, national identity, these conversations have existed for many years. His speech simply brought them back into the spotlight. Whether people agree with him or not, it encouraged reflection, and that's valuable. Of course, not everyone agrees with Louis Farrakhan. Some people appreciate his message, others disagree with his perspective or with aspects of his broader public record. That's completely understandable. It's possible to discuss the ideas presented in a speech while recognizing that people may have different views about the speaker. Health conversation is more productive than attacking one another. After listening carefully, I think the biggest takeaway isn't about one individual. It's about Jamaica itself. The speech encourages people to think about where the country is heading. How can opportunities increase? How many communities become stronger? How can young people believe in their future? How can unity grow despite differences? Those questions matter regardless of who asks them.